And Nissa tried to open the door, and I think it might be time for new hinges, because this one literally just came there you can see it just came straight out. Hello guys, welcome back to Spec TV. Most recently on my Td5 Defender we have been fixing the death wobble, more on that in an upcoming video. But there is still something not quite right with the steering feel. It feels very, very loose at the moment, so what we're going to be doing today is changing the steering shaft that goes from the wheel to the steering box.
So what we got here is the two different steering shafts. I know this one's from Discovery, my Discovery, and this one is for Defender. What I want to do now is just do a quick brief on what you need to look at if you think your lower column steering box axle here needs to get changed. Now what I did on mine was that I noticed there was quite a loose bit before the steering actually took onto it, and you can hear a bit of clunking when you turn the steering wheel. And that was because this joint down here was completely broken. This universal joint down here, you can pretty much just see it. It was falling apart. Now if you grab onto it and onto the other end here, it shouldn't be able to move. But this one moves quite freely, there's quite a lot of play in it. It might not be more than 1 or 2 millimeters of play, but if that then goes all the way up to your steering wheel, which then reduces the diameter of it, 1 or 2 millimeters down here is going to be pretty much a centimeter up in your steering wheel. So it's quite important. There's absolutely no play in it. So I went ahead and changed mine for it. You got a bit of a rubber coupling up here, which makes sure if your wheels hit something, the steering is not going to completely break your arms around, so this thing's going to break. It also reduces vibrations. You got this thing here, which is a safety device. If you're going to crash, the steering column is going to collapse instead of going into your face and hit you right in the head. So this thing collapses here. You don't have to do anything on this part up here. It's only this joint up here, this joint up here, and this is a slider here where you can deter the distance of it compared to different vehicles where the box is mounted. If we go onto Liam's here and have a look, it's located of course on the left hand side of the vehicle. It's located right beneath the turbo on a Td5. You've got quite a lot of space to get around to do it. You might have to we're going to take this boost hose off here and this one down here just to gain a bit better access. But you can grab onto it and twist it, and you can already hear it here. That's the sound of something loose. It might not be much, but we're going to change it anyway. And while we're here, I might try and see if I can tighten up the steering box, because there's quite a lot of play compared to what there should be before the wheels actually start moving. But there's definitely a bit of play in it, so we're going to replace it now. And this steering shaft, the original one, is kept up quite nicely in the past year, so it's just going to help changing it now, and then you don't have to do it the next 15 years of driving. So that's the plan for today. First get the hoses off, and then see if we can't start loosening up the bolts onto it if they're not too tight. So we just took off the top bolt here after cleaning all the bolts off with some oil, or the old residue that was left onto it after the many years. What we then discovered is we found out what the play is. That was the sound we could hear before. Now we can actually see where it is. It's the lower one, and these are normally ones that comes apart compared to this one up here. I don't know if this one's just high up so it doesn't get water and mud onto it as easy as this one down here, but this one was the same problem on mine. And I know you can buy these just at the bottom tip, so once you take this one off, you can actually throw this bit out, buy a new one, and then you got a complete steering lower column axle that you can put in if your new one fails in a couple of years. But this bit's no good. Way too much play now. There shouldn't be any play, so I'm gonna take that one out. So now to get it off, we're just taking up the 3 bolts. We need to use a crowbar to pry the splines, as you can see, they're in both ends. To get those off, simply just put it in, use a bit of leverage to pull it out. Maybe a hammer, just for good sake. So here we got the lower bit that connects onto the steering box itself, and the shaft goes in here in the back. And as you can see, it is very, very loose, even more loose than mine, I think. And it goes both directions, both that one and up and down. So it's that one, that one, that one, and that one's completely broken. So it is pretty much completely dead. It should be replaced. So that one goes out, and this new one goes on with absolutely no play in it whatsoever. So now we've got all the stuff out, both the boost pipes and the lower steering column. So what we're going to do now, or what we just did, was loosen up the nut for the steering box to tighten up the steering a bit. We simply just loosen it up with 19mm, or we think that inches, because 19 is just a tiny bit too big, but it will do the job without completely destroying the nut. So loosen that bit. We're going to use one of these to put it on top and then just tighten it. Same time as we hold the locking span of the locking nut. Tighten it a bit and then tighten the locking nut. Of course, we do not know how much it needs to be tightened because we haven't got any steering shaft in, so we can't really feel how it is, but we're just going to do a tiny bit and see, any bit is going to help. So we're going to tighten it up and see if that does it. Just remember not to do it too much. The rule of thumb is that you have to take the wheels off the ground, turn it all the way to complete lock to lock, and you shouldn't feel any resistance doing it, any hard points. And if it doesn't do that, then it should be okay. Then you can tighten a bit more, just until that starts. Then you have to back it off a bit. But we're just going to tighten a bit and see if that does help, because I know it's going to help. We just don't know how much we need to turn it. But any bit is going to help, so we're going to do that right now. So now we just discovered that the bolt that holds on to the sensor, or the nut that holds onto the sensor bolt on the steering adjuster, was completely seized up. So you have to undo it all the way and then twist it off, clean it, put the locking nut back on, and then tighten it all the way down. So now we actually don't know how the steering is going to be, but we think because we couldn't get it off last time because it's completely seized, and now we've got more space to work with. So now we just semi-tighten it up. That's what we think was about where it was before. And then we're going to put a bit of this never seize grease onto the splines here, just to make sure we can get them off in the future as well. It's always nice to think about future self when doing projects like these. Then we're going to put the steering shaft back in, put the boost pipes in, turn it up, raise up the front wheels. We're going to see if we can't adjust the steering so it gets like new, because now we can actually undo the bolts because they're already loose now. So we have, when we limit the space that we got, we can still do the job in hand. A tiny bit. It's a bit tight. We just went ahead because the bolt was seized. We pretty much had to open up the steering box a bit, and for that it's a good thing just to bleed out the steering box. I got a bleed nipple on top of it. What you do is you place some kind of hose onto it, loosen it up, turn on the car, then you go from lock to lock. Don't jam it all the way as far as you can go, just feel when the lock is, turn the other way, lock, and back again. That way you kind of forces all the air bubbles that might be trapped inside out. Normally you just have to do it when you replace a steering box or you run out of fluid, which is not a very good idea to do because it's going to completely mess up your steering box, but that's how you do it. It's quite simple. Yeah, the bleed nipple might be a bit stuck, so just be gentle with it, it might break, and if that's the case you're going to have to take the cover off to replace it. But yeah, quite easy job to do. And if there's bubble in it, you can kind of feel it moving a bit weird when you turn it around, but I haven't experienced it myself, but it's just what I've read and heard from other people. But it's just a good thing to do to make sure that's not a problem in the future.
So since getting his discovery, Nissa has become slightly obsessed with cleaning products. And you can see over here, his engine bay is rather nice and shiny, at least in comparison to mine. So what we're going to do, since we've kind of got our hands dirty and we've got the engine cover and everything off already, we're going to go and try and give this a clean to make this look like that one over there. And on the way up it will give me a chance to test out the steering, so I'm going to stick the GoPro on my head. It's rather nice. Oh, it's from the UK. It's cool. Yeah, the steering first impression is definitely better. It feels a lot less just loose, basically. you like to take us through your selection of cleaning products?
Very nice brush, not too soft, not too stiff. This one, same. Cleaning product, random engine cleaner. Works really nice. I'll just have a look on this kit. Put it on here. The brush. Off it goes.
So now we're just having a quick go at trying to remove all of these white marks, which there's a few all over the body, but the worst part is the back, and this is just from aluminium oxidization, and this is scratch remover, right?
Yeah. Scratch removal. I think we just, if we scratch the paint a tiny bit, it should maybe go in and remove it.
And surprisingly, it seems to have actually worked. If you look at this part down here, it's gone back to being shiny. You can actually see a reflection in it, and then compare that to this part, which is quite the opposite.
Gonna do like halfway, so this is what it looked like before, and then
yeah,
what it's going to look. Wow, you already see it there.
I came down so we could film a video changing my steering shaft, and I'm getting like a free wax detail at the same time. Wow, that's actually amazing. That's gone back to being shiny bodywork. And then compare that to this part.
Fine line there.
That's what it looked like before. And it's just this.
And you can't get it off, like.
No, you can't rub it off with your fingers. You can't wash it off with water or anything like that. Honestly, I've been wondering how to get that off for ages.
There you go. Scratch remover seems to work.
What have you got on your head?
Hat.
No, like on the hat, I mean.
Here?
Yeah. So if you're wondering what Nissa has used to do this, it is turtle wax scratch remover, which you can just buy from any, you know, your local car parts store, whatever that is in your country. But it seems to be working very well. We just did these rivets here. So you've done that one, and like you can see the comparison, that one down there, for example. They've all got this white stuff running down them, and these ones are all clean now. And then we can do the whole back at some point. You can just see very clearly the bit that has been done compared to the rest of it. So we just got back down to the yard, and Nissa tried to open the door, and I think it might be time for new hinges, because this one literally just came there you can see it just came straight out. So that's another thing to fix. So it is about time to end the video. I'm not going to bother going on a test drive for this one, because I can simply tell you from here that the steering has improved and is less vague and loose as it was before, obviously. However, I'm also not going to go on a test drive because this is not over. As you'll see in the next video, there is still more to this whole steering suspension hell that I seem to be going through. So we will continue this in the next video, where we'll see what is next. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.